Hello, Oilers fans. Austin here with the pregame report between the Edmonton Oilers and the St. Louis Blues. This is the first matchup between these two teams. Last year, the Oilers only won one of their three games against St. Louis. Of course, there was that infamous game in St. Louis where St. Louis ended up with 8 power plays, and the Oilers only had 2 or 3, I believe. Then the second game that they played against each other, the Oilers won, and then in the final matchup of the season on April 1st, the Oilers lost. So St. Louis seems to have Edmonton's number fairly recently. The Oilers in their last 5 games against the Blues, they are 2-1-2, and overall, this season in the Oilers' last 5 games, they've won 4 of them, but so have the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis has played really well since they made the coaching change and hired Jim Montgomery after the Boston Bruins fired Montgomery, and players like Dylan Holloway are absolutely thriving under Monty's system right now. Dylan Holloway has 4 goals and 4 assists in his last 5 games. He is red hot right now for the Blues. And for the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, he's red hot. He has 10 points in his last 5 games. Draisaitl leads the way with 4 goals, and McDavid leads the way with 7 assists in those 5 games. So lots of players to watch, lots of different storylines. Philip Broberg, of course, also returning to Edmonton for the first time since that offer sheet was signed with Dylan Holloway. And the Oilers, they lose 2 23-year-olds to the Blues and get pretty much nothing back. They get a couple draft picks, but I think, with how the season has played out for Edmonton, I think they're really missing young, speedy, good skating, good puck-moving players, especially with Phil Broberg on the back end and Dylan Holloway up front. It'll be an interesting game to watch. It'll be a tough game for the Oilers. Like I said, the Blues have played a lot better under Jim Montgomery than they were before Montgomery took over, but hopefully the Oilers are able to get a win here, and they're able to shut down Holloway and Broberg, who seem like they are just unstoppable in recent games. If you end up enjoying this pregame report, make sure to smash the like button, and if you really like it, make sure to hit subscribe to the channel as we continue to build a terrific hockey community here in 2024 and beyond. Now, before I get into the lineups, a couple things to note. The Oilers are finally over 3 goals per game, and they're under 3 goals against per game. But this is also the first time this year where the Oilers are averaging more goals than they are giving up goals. If you look on the little graphic on the screen, they're averaging 3 goals scored per game, and they're only giving up 2.96. I think that's the first time all year that the Oilers are actually back in a positive metric when it comes to the goals. So that's really good to see. Of course, it's taken a little while after how horrible their start was, but things are turning around here in Oil Country. Let's jump into the projected lineup. Top line, I project to be the exact same as against the Columbus Blue Jackets, with Nugent Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman leading the way. Connor McDavid against Columbus 2 nights ago, he had 4 assists. Zach Hyman, he returned from injury and scored 2 goals, 2 very nice goals, might I add. And Nugent Hopkins, it looks like he's starting to slowly get his offense figured out. He has a couple goals, couple of assists lately, and that's really good to see. And that line, that top line, they showed how much chemistry that they have, and they showed why they are usually played together. Even when they're not producing, there's a reason why those 3 stay together, because of how good they are at puck possession, puck management, and generating offensive chances. So hopefully they're able to continue that tonight. On the second line, we'll have Vasily Podkolzin with Leon Draisaitl and Kasperi Kapanen. Now, that line wasn't as strong as they had been in the past. Of course, that was Kapanen's first time playing with Draisaitl and Podkolzin. I just mean the Podkolzin and Draisaitl combo. That was one of their weaker games, I would say, against Columbus. They still played well, and Draisaitl had a couple of goals. But overall, I think we're looking for a little bit more, especially 5-on-5. I felt that line was a little bit in their own zone, a little too much during the game against the Blue Jackets. But again, like I said, that was Kapanen's first game playing with Draisaitl and Pod, so hopefully they build some chemistry. They can build off that Columbus game and drive some offense here for the Edmonton Oilers so that they're not just relying on McDavid and Hyman and Nugent Hopkins. Third line, we're going to have Janmark, Henrique, and Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner finally scored against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and he's played really well in the last couple of games. I thought he played really good against Vegas, and I mentioned in the post-game reaction to that Vegas game, I wish Jeff Skinner had been given some ice time with the Top Guns in that third period when the team was trying to score just 1 goal to tie it. Jeff Skinner, he had played very well against the Golden Knights. He was all over it, had numerous chances, and I'm happy that he was rewarded against the Columbus Blue Jackets the other night and finally got a goal. Let's see if he's able to continue that trajectory upward as well. And then the fourth line, the old man line, Corey Perry, Derek Ryan, and Connor Brown. Of course, Connor Brown is not super old, but Corey Perry and Derek Ryan are. But that line led the way in expected goals against Columbus. They were at a 93 expected goals for percentage, which is hilarious. When Corey Perry was on the ice, he was on the ice for 8 chances for, scoring chances for, and 0 against, including 5 high danger chances for and 0 against, at least according to Natural Stat Trick. That is absolutely hysterical. If the old man line, including Connor Brown, can find a way to continue to generate offensive chances, I like their chances of putting a puck or two in the net, especially Connor Brown. He's had a few open nets lately, and he's been unable to either corral the puck or get a clean shot off. Connor Brown, I don't know what stick you're using, man. I think it's time to change it up, personally, or get a different stick blade. Whatever Draisaitl stick blade is, where they call it the shovel, Connor Brown needs that so that he can maintain puck possession on his stick and then just shovel the puck into the net. On defense, we're going to have Ekholm with Bouchard, Nurse with Kulak, Stetcher with Emberson. However, Kulak usually does take regular rotations on the third pair with Emberson. Stetcher does play regular rotations with Darnell Nurse. So that bottom four, they do kind of switch things around periodically. I usually just, in my projected lineup, play the defensemen who I find play better together. Nurse, Kulak have played phenomenal, and I just want to give a massive shout out to Darnell Nurse, by the way. He has been terrific since the beginning of November. I think he's only been on the ice for 2 goals against at 5-on-5, and his play at 5-on-5, he leads the entire defensive group in expected goals at 60% expected goals for percentage since the beginning of November. Darnell Nurse has completely turned his game around. That first 2 weeks of the season was god awful. It seemed like every time he was on the ice, the puck was going in the net, and he was just kind of looking lost. However, he's played great. He was playing great before his injury. He has played great after his injury, and that's really good to see. And the one thing I've noticed the most about Darnell Nurse is his puck movement. His passing has been a lot better than in years past. Usually, he's an off the glass and out type of player, or he tries to rush a pass and he ices the puck. However, he's been taking a little bit more time. It's subtle. It's subtle, but he is taking a little bit more time, and he is looking for the right play. He's not trying to do anything too fancy right now. And of course, when he is in trouble, he has been using his legs to skate himself out of trouble. And that's his best asset, is his skating. And for Darnell Nurse and for Oilers fans, this is a real good sign. The Oilers are a good and much better team when Darnell Nurse is playing on his game, and that's really good to see. We'll always complain about the contract, but if the player is able to perform even close to it like Nurse has over the last month and a bit or so, then there's nothing to complain about, really. I'm really happy with Darnell Nurse's play. I wanted to give him a shout out. And then, of course, in net is going to be Stuart Skinner with Calvin Pickard backing him up. Now, let's get to the game day predictions and, of course, the stats. We'll start with St. Louis. They are 13-12-2 on the season. They are fighting for a wildcard spot right now. They're 6-3-1 in their last 10 games, including 4-0-1 in their last 5. So since Jim Montgomery has taken over, the team has been winning a bunch of games, and that's really good for Blues fans. However, their advanced metrics are not great. St. Louis's expected goals for the season, 46.33%, which is 27th in the league. Their power play ranks 28th at 15.9%. Their penalty kill ranks 20th at 79.2%. They scored just 2.59 goals per game, which ranks 25th. They give up 3.07 goals against per game, which ranks 19th. Corsi 4 ranks 25th in the league, 47.39%, and shots for ranks 26th at 47.97%. The St. Louis Blues are not a good advanced metric team. They're not a good possession team. They're not great at 5-on-5. They don't score a lot of goals. Their special teams is pretty middling, but they're finding a way to stay in that wild card hunt. They're getting some timely saves right now. Their goaltending has been much improved over the last several games, and Jim Montgomery, that coaching bump, the team is riding a PDO high. Since Jim Montgomery was hired, the St. Louis Blues PDO is at a 106. They're getting like a 95 save percentage, and they're shooting at over 10% right now as a team. And, you know, the coaching bump eventually does come down, but I think they're still in that honeymoon phase. I think St. Louis is still a very dangerous team. They have very dangerous weapons on that team. And the Oilers, if they're not careful, and I talk about this in every single pregame report, if the Oilers aren't careful, they're going to get burned. Yeah, I say it all the time. But they have guys like Kyrou. They have guys like Neighbors. They have Holloway. They have Buchnevich, who I think has had a slow start to his season. They still have Shen. They have Brandon Saad. On defense, they have Parayko. They have Suter. Even though Suter I don't think is that great anymore. Reinhart personally. And they have Philip Broberg, of course, in net. Jordan Binnington has had a great year for the Blues. Well, I wouldn't say great. He's turned his game around. Started off good, middle of the road, not great, and lately he's been much better. And for Jordan Binnington, of course, named to Team Canada's Four Nations Cup roster, beating out guys like Stuart Skinner. I almost said Jeff Skinner again. If I keep saying Jeff Skinner instead of Stuart Skinner, I swear I have to owe the community something. This is outrageous. But for St. Louis, they have good pieces. They have a good mix of speed, veteran leadership, physicality. Edmonton's got to be on their toes tonight. It's going to be a tough one. For the Oilers, they are 14-10-2 on the year. They are 6-3-1 in their last 10 games, including 4-1 in the last 5. Expected goals for this season ranks 4th in the league, 54.12%. Their power play continues to climb. It is now 19th at 19.4% on the year, and their penalty kill also continues to climb up the ranks. It is now sitting at 73%, which ranks 27th in the NHL. They score 3 goals per game, which ranks 16th. They give up 2.96 goals per game, which is 12th in the league. Corsi for ranks second, 55.13%, and shots for, that's actual shots that hit the target, is first in the league, 55.97%. The Edmonton Oilers have only been outshot in 2 games all season long. This is a team that, like I said, they are a possession monster, and if they had a little bit more finish in this lineup, they would be much higher up in the standings. There's always good signs. There's always really good signs that the offense, just when you think it is turning it around, like that game against Columbus, they score 6 goals. The game against Colorado, they had a lot of depth scoring. But then they have the games like against Vegas, where despite all the chances, nobody could put a puck in the net. This offense has been Jekyll and Hyde all season long. However, my score prediction is going to be 4-3 Oilers in overtime. I think it's going to be a fun one. I think it's going to be back and forth. And my players to watch, I'm going to have Dylan Holloway for the St. Louis Blues and then Leon Draisaitl for the Edmonton Oilers. I picked those two specifically because Holloway played a lot on Draisaitl's wing during the playoffs, during that Stanley Cup run last season, and I'm curious to see how both players are going to play against each other tonight. The game is at 8:10 p.m. Mountain, not 7:10. That is incorrect. That is an incorrect graphic. I can't believe that I was unable to change that before I started recording. I do apologize. The game is at 8:10 p.m. Mountain on Hockey Night in Canada on Rogers Sportsnet. If you live in Canada, of course, Hockey Night in Canada is huge here. I love it. I will be missing the first period due to my work schedule, but I will be watching the second and third period, and then, of course, I will be getting a post-game reaction up after the game. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Please let me know your score prediction in the comment section below, and let me know your players to watch, either for St. Louis or for the Edmonton Oilers, and hopefully this game is much better officiated than the ones last year, especially that game where St. Louis had 8 power plays and the Oilers only had 2. That was really fun. Absolutely love that. Thank you all so much for watching. Truly appreciate it, Oil Country. Your support means the world to me. Make sure you tell someone that you love them before the game tonight. And of course, always fight like a kid. Always fight like Ben. Let's go, Oilers.